Greetings and welcome to the Ohio Lodge of Research podcast, OLR Connections. In this episode, I sit down with brothers Bob Stacoffe and Charley Ashley. Bob is a past master of the Ohio Lodge of Research, and Charley is our current secretary. The three of us played a significant role in helping rebuild the Ohio Lodge of Research beginning about 5 or 6 years ago. And in this conversation, we try to relive and reconnect some of the details of that story. Hope you enjoy. And like I said, my thinking on this was, and Charley and I were talking a little bit before you came in, Bob, is that our memories of how all of this began may not be completely accurate. So part of this is to kind of maybe sort out the history of what actually happened. But my focus for having the three of us together is I see the three of us, especially when we sat down to kind of build the website, kind of was
Right.
it was the turning point for the Lodge of Research, in my opinion. And
You're right.
so how we made that change. And so it was at that point, I remember, Bob, we elected you master. You guys were foolish enough to throw me in as senior warden. And I think we put Don back in as junior warden, didn't we?
I think so.
And then that was the same time that Charley got elected secretary. Does that sound right?
Yes, I came in November 2018 is when I joined.
Okay.
Makes sense,
Okay.
being hornswoggled by Bob to become secretary.
So
Well, that's a story in itself.
maybe I need to hear that story too.
When we started working on, well, let me go back. I think it was when Chad Simpson was master, and that would have been in 2014. That was
Okay.
that was the first meeting I went to. And I think three of us showed up at that meeting. I don't know if you were there or not.
That was before me.
Before you. Okay. I think Ray was there. Ray Sherris was there, and Bill Percy
Okay.
and myself. But he had the meeting at the Masonic home, and he did a table lodge. So we had a lot of members from the home there, and I guess we had probably 16 or 18 people, members. It was a good meeting. And that's when Percy was elected master. And that was the start of me getting involved with trying to reorganize the membership.
Okay.
And that was Norman Lincoln, if you remember him.
Oh yeah.
Was secretary for tons of years. I don't know exactly how many, but many years. And he came to the meeting that Percy had at his church in Lancaster.
Okay.
And we had, I think, 4 people there. I started asking questions about the list of members, that I could put on the computer. So we had a good list. And Lincoln said, well, let me go to my car, and if you'll come with me. And he opened the trunk of the car, and he had all the boxes of those
Petition,
pardon?
petitions.
Well, he had petitions, he had a bunch of stuff, and he had these blue books. He had 2 boxes of them. And then he reached over and he says, here, this is the list of all the members. And he handed me 2 containers of 3x5 cards. And that's what all the members' names were on. There was notations on it for years and years, front and back. Actually, when I started looking at them, no one had paid dues for 3, 4, 5 years. And he said, "Oh no, I never sent out a dues notice. That was people just sent their dues in, and or paid at the most of them paid at the meetings." So anyhow, I took those cards and I went through them and I made a list. And that's, I think, when I got Charley involved. And I said, there has to be a better way. And the list doesn't really tell us anything about members. What can we do? And we started looking for a program that we could have and have the list. We could add to it, take off it, anything a management program could give us. And how many did we look at, Charley? 3, 4?
We've narrowed it down to 5 from I don't know how many, and from the 5 went to 3, and then we began to actually drill closely into 3. Like, do you have the ability to have archive records?
Right.
What's your volume of material that we can store on the site? How can we access it? What is your membership per cost per person? What's your yearly fees? And we eventually narrowed it down to just 2. And then Bob decided that, well, let's give a demo. Bob, you can take it from there.
Well, we did a demo at the meeting with Don Cruz. And he took us through a library or a historical building.
That was the one down at E.T. Carson where we went through UC's archives. So that would have been January of 2018.
Okay.
And that was actually the meeting that I presented my paper to become an active. So I was definitely
there. Okay.
Yep.
But I arranged with Charley, and we developed the Club Express program.
Okay.
And I made the presentation, gave the demonstration, and we didn't stir up very much enthusiasm about it. People said, "Well, it's too expensive." They were afraid we would be using up all the resources we had, although we had a very good treasury at that time, and we still do, I think. And it was voted down. So Charley and I didn't stop there. When I went in as master, I presented it again. I said, "Hey, we've got to do something. We need something to guide us and keep our records and so forth." And I think you were at that meeting.
Yep.
And we did get a good vote. The people that voted against it, I think there was 2 that voted against it, and we only had like 4 people there, 5 people.
Yeah, there were 5. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when Charley became the secretary, but I said, "Charley, why don't you go to the meeting with us and see what's up?" He got there, and somebody said something about minutes, and I said, "Charley, you're the secretary. Go ahead." And he says, "I'm not the secretary." And I said, "Well, let's vote him in." And that's when Charley became involved. Am I wrong with that, Charley?
No, I distinctly remember hearing the sound of a train in the background.
Yeah, it was. It was. But thank goodness that he did, because you and Charley and put the thing together, and we did get it passed, and we started. And that's when you volunteered to be the webmaster, and thank God you did, because you posted every one of those papers that were presented since 1965.
I think more accurately, I volunteered to come up to Columbus and help you guys get it organized. and I think you two volunteered me to be the webmaster. I think that's how it happened.
Well,
I'll be
a little-
honest, I didn't resist real hard, but
right, a little persuasion. Like,
well, I'm not sure who can claim responsibility for it, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't me. That's all I can say.
well,
Was
you were
when we started designing or putting together the website, someone made the suggestion that that we should just have, and I forget how we phrased it on the website. We've got it listed on the website as the electronic resources of the the Ohio Lodge of Research. So
right.
rather than making a website for the Lodge of Research, we effectively made a database for the Ohio Lodge of Research. And I realize that's a semantic difference, but to me, whomever made that suggestion helped us out a lot, because then it changed the goal, right? The goal wasn't to become a social or outreach component of the lodge in the website. It was to become a resource for
Right.
anybody, brothers or members and non-members. And I think that is one of the things that has set our website apart from many of the other lodges of research websites that are out there, and websites in general. Like I said, it's a database, it's a resource. And I wish I remember who came up with that idea, because I think that made the difference for us.
It was a good one, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, was that me?
I'm going to give you credit. I think so. Yeah.
I don't know how much time you spent on the website and all the documents and set it up, and now it's super. And everybody likes it. So, and everybody has access to it. And so Club Express worked out well. When we started, we estimated that it would cost us about $90 a month. And I think it came to $94 the first billing that we got. We had over 300 people on the list. And the list had to be combed down because some of them on the card had died 20 years before the list was made, but they're still on the index cards. And there were many what they called affiliated members.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, we had that category, and we changed that to just the actives and the members, regular members. Well, Charlie can take you along, I think, on what happened with the secretarial stuff and how he worked with that and worked with you on it.
Yeah, I have this imagination or this vision that probably what you walked into as secretary was far more chaotic and challenging. Let's use the word challenging, chaotic and challenging than what I ever approached when it came to the website. Because with the website, at least everything was there. It was just a matter of getting it in the right format and putting it on the website. What in the world did you find as the secretary, Charlie?
Well, after it blew off the dust on very large containers of records, one thing led to another, to where I decided that why don't we simply start all over. I came up with the format. I believe you came up with the logo, and we had some play off on what the new Ohio Lodge of Research logo will look like. That became part of our masthead. At the same time, I was paying great attention to our previous website. And our previous website had a lot of the old minutes on it. And so through a series of time, we were able to take all the old minutes off the old website. I believe that you were instrumental in doing some of that, if not all of that. And therefore, we have all our minutes going back as far as we have records of from the Circle of Correspondence, I believe it was called back then. At the same time, we were migrating from the old website, which was highly static, and we're moving some of the information over to the current website. and you begin to do the redesign of that. In the background, I was doing all of the minutes, getting them all lined up in chronological order, and trying to figure out the best way to put it on the system. You took it from there, and the minutes became a part of the system. What was most interesting than anything else, which is the least heralded portion of it, and the one that made me more bold, and I actually have grown out some hair since then, was taking all of the 3x5 card records, marrying them up with what Bob had done on the spreadsheet, filling in the holes, trying to come up with the data, because some of the data, in fact, a good portion of the data was not readable beyond name, phone number, things like that.
Right.
Putting it into a format that was acceptable to Club Express, and went back and forth between Club Express. No, you don't have the right format. You're off this field. No, no, no. We need add more characters because his name is longer than that. Eventually, we finally got a good upload. And once we got an upload, I could then populate the website with members. As a part of that process, I believe we actually only populated 180, somewhere around 200, somewhere around there. And through massaging the information, and since then, since 2018, our current membership sets at 320 members, of which approximately 60 of them are DEOs that rotate every year.
Yeah.
We are averaging around 10 to 14 new applications every quarter. At the same time, we are unfortunately losing members to death or other instances. So we are now around 320. I expect us to probably hit good numbers around 340 before we stabilize again, probably another 6 months.
Yeah.
An interesting part of what Charlie was doing, and I made it a little bit more difficult for him. Pat King. I decided that Pat was really involved with the Ohio Lodge of Research. I think as a treasurer, or not a treasurer, a secretary, and a trustee.
Right.
And I contacted Pat and asked him if he had any files. He said, "Oh yeah, I got plenty of files." And I said, "Well, can we pick them up and look at them, or come and look at them, or pick them up, or take them and see what you got, so we can use it with our website and give it to our webmaster and all that?" And he said, "Sure, come on." So we we went to Lancaster, wasn't it, Charlie? It went to Lancaster.
We made sure we took a van.
Yeah, we took Charlie's van, and he said, "Okay, we got to go out in the garage." We went out in the garage.
You mean the barn?
Huh?
You mean the barn?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, he had boxes and boxes and boxes of papers. Some of them were just had no value at all to what we were trying to do. But he also had a volume of the blue books again. That's why we keep re-putting those into circulation. But anyhow, I think it took us 2 years, I think, to go through those boxes. And there were some interesting things. There was one book that had all handwritten information about members, dues. It preceded even Lincoln's 3x5 cards.
Okay.
So
And
that was big.
And that was the meld job of melding all of that into a workable membership upload that we could do.
Right.
As we had to go through all the boxes and make a decision on what was valuable, and what was of historical importance and what was of no value. And our volume of no value began to grow and to grow and to grow. We have pamphlets from who knows where on someone's fish fry that we went to. And then we had correspondence from dating back years and years and years from libraries from other places that basically didn't exist anymore.
Wow.
That might be a good phrase. And so that's when we elected to decide that we would become affiliated with the library services somewhere, provided it was reciprocal. And I've offered that to several libraries that I knew that we were in the past, but unfortunately they've gone through new curators, and all the new curators were about, David's age. And they decided to not to be reciprocal.
One of the things that we took that list, and Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was about 300 names on it, and we had to find out who was still living, who was not, and on the list. And Charlie, who was it that did the research for us?
I don't remember who it was. Someone was able to get to Grandview. We validated all that we could, and
Yeah, we eliminated all the
and
deceased members.
and my mind just goes blank on who did the validation before the previous one, which is just done by Chad.
Right.
And I just don't recall who that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think we have a fantastic program now that
Yeah.
I think one of the key issues, or there are two key issues, that number one, we would not have Club Express handle any financials. That was a key issue. And the second was that we wouldn't have to print the papers every 2 years or every year and make those pamphlets up and distribute them, which was a big expense.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that was a major selling point, because if I remember right, so this would have been about 2019 that we were having this conversation.
Right.
And I don't think there had been a publication of the Lodge of Research since 1996 at that point. It was basically 25 years since anything had been printed. So I think it was a big selling point that we could start publishing effectively on a daily basis if we needed to get it out there, rather than waiting for enough to have a full booklet and the expense of printing that.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, that was a major selling point. Yeah.
Now, I believe that you carried that particular crusade at the time.
I did.
I think you did.
Oh, okay. I know that I be it good, bad, or indifferent, I know the one thing that I really pushed was getting all of the old papers and documents onto the website. I thought, that was what was going to make our database, our website different, was that it was going to be a resource of effectively 100% of the materials available in the Lodge of Research. And I think the response has been good. At least what I've heard from has been good.
Oh yeah. I go back once in a while and read some of those papers, and they're interesting.
Oh yeah. Yep. Now, Bob, you said you were at I think it was a 2014 meeting with Chad Simpson as the master. Was that the first meeting you attended?
I believe it might have been. I trying to look and see. I don't remember Ivan Tribe, so I can't say I was there at 213. But
okay, so
that might have been that year. Was the year I attended meetings.
Okay,
214.
So you've been a member of the Lodge of Research for about 10 years at this point, then.
That's right.
Okay, and then Charlie and I are relative newbies at comparatively.
No, you're right behind that.
Let's see. I joined in 2016, because I was at that meeting in Lancaster at was it Percy's Church?
Yes.
But I may not have even been a member yet. I know I attended, but I either was a brand new associate member, or would be soon after that. And then, like I said, I presented my paper to become an active at the January 2018 meeting. So I've been a participating active member for 5 or 6 years at this point.
Yeah.
And then Charlie,
Well,
I think you came in just a few months after I did, if I remember right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you've contributed a lot.
well, that's why we're here.
Years.
That's why we're here. Yeah. All three of us have. So in that time from 2014, went till 2017 or 18 when I started, that 4 or 5, 6 years there. How would you describe the participation and membership of the Lodge of Research?
There was no participation. I
Okay.
mean, 3 or 4 members showing up at the meeting, and one of them being who was going to present a paper or give a talk. So the meetings were very simple meetings, I'd say. They weren't very conducive to any research or anything like that.
Okay.
Mostly, I think mostly about chatter about, talking about members and talking about papers that they had written or something like that. But they were very informal and not very interesting, most of them. But
Well, that's fair.
the big one was when Chet did the table lodge.
From the time first came in, there, for minute wise, there was a very robust exchange. We had table lodges, we have all those things, and it begins to dwindle down slower and slower and slower. So when we came into when the 2018, 2017, we're down to just like 4 or 5 people attending. And then it began to mushroom and the pyramid inverted and became more and more active, more and more active, more and more active. And the turbocharge began to occur when we started video conferencing.
Oh, that was great.
And we started putting the video online. And then all of a sudden we're getting 33 people coming in for the video. I believe the highest number we hit for one of our sessions were 60 something. And that was just the Ohio Lodge of Research and things we were presenting at that time. We changed formats. We've gone to the workshops. We've gone to those things, and we keep increasing. But what we are actually presenting is metamorphosizing. We're gone from staid paper to almost interactive discussions, interactive ways of connecting to the membership. We're in the process of trying to bring in members in their viewpoints from a Masonic perspective and encouraging them to come on board, do some more videos for us. And in new formats, we're still evolving. And so I'll leave the evolving portion of it to David, because you've done an awful lot to really jumpstart us from our earlier stages of simply having a static video.
Yeah.
Evidently, we're doing something right to get all the new members that we are getting. Like Charlie said, what, 14 in every quarter?
Roughly between 10 to
15. No, that's great. That's awesome. I mean, I knew you guys know me well enough. I'm unfortunately not a detail, not a numbers guy. So I knew we had new members and new petitions, but I just don't pay attention to the absolute numbers. So when you tell me we've got 14, 15 coming in every quarter, that's for a lodge our size, for what we do, that's incredible. That's great.
Well, one of the things that was again discussed at that meeting where we approved the first meeting was that, oh, if we decided to change the dues
Yeah,
structure,
that was a huge change.
$12.50 for 4 months, 4 years, or $50 for a lifetime. There were people that thought, oh, we won't have any income coming in. None at all. But when you looked at the interest that we were getting on our investments, it covered everything that we were doing. So,
well, and we had virtually no expense either. That was the difference. We didn't need an income.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, my recollection of one of those early meetings, and I think it was the one at Eastern Star at Franklin in Franklin, was I think there was actually a conversation of, there are only 4 or 5 of us here. We need to make a decision as to what we're doing. Either we're going to end the Ohio Lodge of Research, or we're going to revive the Ohio Lodge of Research.
That's right.
And I think, and again, my recollection is that Bob, I think you were the one that was definitely the adamant one that we've got to revive this thing. And then I know I jumped on board, and obviously Charley jumped on board as well. So personally, I hope you guys feel the same way. But I'm quite proud of where the Lodge of Research is right now.
I think you should be. You've done a great job, and there's a lot of work went into that.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't me. I mean, it wasn't just me. It was you guys too. Honestly, I look back, and the hardest job, I think, in something like that is being the one brave enough to step up and say, what we're doing isn't working. We got to do something different. And Bob, you were the one that did that.
Right. And I remember many times going down the road with you on the right side or left side, complaining about it. We don't have enough people, and I won't discuss the things you discussed. You weren't happy, and you said, we're going to change this.
Well, I think it was a key issue when David joined and you joined. I think without you, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And I think either one of you.
Well, I appreciate hearing that, but again, I think it was all of us. But to Charley's point earlier, I mean, I think we're constantly changing. I think that's I know it's my own personal opinion, but I don't think I'm alone. There's this attitude of what we're doing seems to be working, but we can get better, and everything we do is an experiment, and we keep the things that work, and we throw out the things that don't, and we see where we end up next time.
So we're presenting ideas that can be applied to different lodges, to different people's experience, to make them better Masons.
Thank you for joining me in my discussion with brothers Charley Ashley and Bob Stacoffe, as we tried to piece together all of the bits of information that were in our minds about the rebuilding years of the Ohio Lodge of Research. Hope you enjoyed our conversation, and look forward to seeing you at the next episode.